வர சொல்றதுனே இருப்பேன். என்ன எப்படியா சாப்பிட்டீங்க? என் உடம்பு என்ன ஆகுது?
What's going on, people? Welcome to the post-match presser and welcome to the FPL tips and tricks. Here I'll be helping you analyze and set up your team for the coming season through each and every game week. This is a wide topic, so I'm going to talk about a lot of things. In essence, I'll be looking at formation to play, who not to play, setting the bench and setting the chips. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, first things first, what you need to realize is you're not a real manager, so don't be placing inverted wing backs and CDMs into your lineup. Set a squad for most points. The formation most players like to use is the 3-5-2, the 4-4-2 and the 3-4-3. They use this, and I'd recommend you use any of these three to maximize the number of players you have in the midfield, because that's where most creativity comes from, assists, goals, that kind of stuff. Salah is regarded as a midfielder in the FPL. Same to Mane, same to De Bruyne. You'll find the likes of Grealish, the likes of Rashford, the likes of Martial. Why did I just say Martial? You'd honestly have more chance of getting points in an FPL if you put flipping Ted Lasso on the pitch instead of Martial, and he has the football knowledge of a jelly bean. Now this, kind of like Rihanna, is what you came here for. This is who you're going to set in the team and how you're going to set out the team. And now we are going to start from the back. We are going to start from the rear, like Arsenal's position in the first page of the Premier League.
Pow!
The first and obvious pick for everyone will be Emiliano Martinez. He plays for Aston Villa, is Argentinian. He's had an amazing season. I think the guy had a staggering 15 clean sheets, and he played the highest number of minutes of any goalkeeper in the Premier League. I think in terms of clean sheets, only Ederson and Edouard Mendy have more clean sheets than he does. So Emi ticks all the boxes. I think their first game is going to be against Watford, and I am pretty sure they're going to have an easy game with that. So if you want a low budget signing who can be one for a longer period, go for him. Option number 2 is the Brighton goalkeeper, Roberto Sanchez. This guy has had a stellar season ever since he took over from Matt Ryan. I mean, wow, he's kept a lot of clean sheets and he's been a standout. He's been a man of the match in almost every game he's played for. And he's on the cheap, 4.5 million. That's little. I think he is a considerable option. Well, then you have the big boys, Ederson, who is actually a good shout. I mean, if Pep plays the same way he did last season, he'll keep many clean sheets. The problem is his price. It may cause you to sacrifice some other positions within your team if you do it, Then Edouard Mendy, Alisson will have an easier game because he'll be against Norwich at the start of the season. But other than that, I don't think it's going to be all smooth sailing. I think last season was one of his worst. So yeah, he's an option for one game, but I don't think long running he will be a good option. A couple of clubs are having an easier start to the season compared to others. The likes of Brighton, the likes of Newcastle, though I think they're going to bottle each and every one of them. Clubs like Aston Villa and West Ham. So if I were to pick any defender, I would probably focus on those teams. There are a couple of big hitters before I go into anything else. The likes of Luke Shaw, the likes of Ruben Diaz, the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know, it's controversial. He had a crap season, but I think this season will be a make or break season for Liverpool. I think they're going to come back stronger, with the likes of Virgil van Dijk coming back, and they've just signed Ibrahima Konate, although he is injury prone, so I'm not going to bet a lot of money on him staying for long. Trent will step up. He had a crap season last season, but I think he's going to be better this season. And Robertson on the other flank is going to be equally as important. To sum it off, if I'm going to look at anyone, I think the top names would be Ruben Diaz, because he was, I think, defender of the season and arguably one of the best players of the season. He revolutionized Manchester City's defense. And if you consider him, you could be focusing on getting a lot of points because he tends to make Man City keep a lot of clean sheets and he tends to get goals and successful tackles and the likes. You have Luke Shaw, who had an amazing European campaign, an amazing season with Manchester United last season, and I don't think he's going to slow down anytime soon. I think he's just going to pick up the pace and keep going strong. So he's another option. He costs, I think, 6.5 million now. DS costs 6 million. If you're going for a lower signing who can give you as equal rewards, there's Vladimir Kufal, or is Sufal, I'm not sure, the Czech Republic defender who plays for West Ham. He is going to have a great season. He had one last season. I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon. So there's that option. You have Aaron Cresswell from West Ham too. He was also a standard performer. He picked up an amazing amount of... I think Aaron Cresswell got 153 points, I think, on the FPLs, and he was among the top 30, so that's a good shout. He is still going to give an amazing output this season, I believe, and you can go for him. If you're looking for budget signings, the likes of the Brighton players, as I said before, there's Tariq Lamptey. He had an amazing season last year before the injury that put him out for the rest of the season, and I think he was even linked with the likes of Bayern Munich and Barcelona. They're looking for a right back, so that shows you what he's capable of. So I think he's going to pick up from where he left off when the season starts. There's Wesley Fofana from Leicester. He is a great defender. I think he can play both center defensive, midfield and center back, but you're focusing on the center back. He's also on the cheap. He's 4.5 million, I think, same to Lamptey. Then there's Stuart Dallas. Stuart Dallas has been an amazing standout out of the entire defense. I think he got 171 points last season, which is staggering for a Leeds defender. A good output. The midfield, well, this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets juicy. There's so many options for these. There are so many top class, world class players who can fit into your team, but there's so little of money you can use on them. So I'm not going to tell you who to pick, because I haven't been doing that the entire time anyway. I'm just going to give you the obvious options and you can decide for yourselves. Number one is the magical, the magnificent, the Portuguese Magnifico,
Bruno Fernandes.
What? No, that can't be the way it's said. Bruno Fernandes is a star. He was arguably one of the best FPL players the entire season. If he didn't score a goal, he'd get an assist, and he would most definitely score a penalty. This is actual footage of him getting escorted out of court when he heard that there were penalties being given there too. And also, Bruno Fernandes is a top pick. He costs, I think, 12 million, but he will be worth the money because he most likely has an impact in the game. He scored the highest number of points in the entire FPL last season. And next up will be Mohamed Salah himself. He's rather more expensive than Bruno, but he will have an impact, especially with their opening game against Norwich. I think Klopp's men are going to have a field day there, and he will probably be involved. Son Heung-min, the Spurs player, he had a fast start to the previous season, and I think he is going to keep at it, even with Nuno Espirito Santos in charge of the club right now. 4 is an obvious one. It's usually either Bruno or this man right here, Kevin De Bruyne. He didn't have as big a season as the ones I mentioned prior, but he is still involved, and he will be worth your while if you want to. A player of that caliber. You also have Riyad Mahrez, who re-established himself as Pep's first choice for right winger, and he performed really well last season, both on the pitch and in the Fantasy Premier League. So he's another option. Then there's Jack Grealish, with the transfer rumors linking him to Manchester City. If he joins, that's going to be a firecracker of midfield, and I think he's going to get the best out of him. If you're looking for a lower budget signing, there's Thomas Souček. Or is it Thomas? I'm not exactly sure. Thomas Souček, he's an excellent pick. He was a standard performer for West Ham. I think he and Declan Rice revolutionized Moyes' men. Another option is the Leeds winger stroke midfielder, Rafinha. He had a purple patch towards December and he kept at it into the early starts of January, but then he veered off. And then there's the wild card, 2 wild cards actually, James Ward-Prowse and Emiliano Buendia. Buendia just signed for Aston Villa. I think it may be as a Grealish replacement, but I'm not entirely sure because they've signed Leon Bailey as well. But he is another great option, a great shot, because he was a standard performer for Norwich in the last season's championship. And if you want to take a risk, you can't go with him as a wild card. He may be worth your while, or you may end up selling him and regretting watching this video, but yay, it was your choice. Lastly is Manchester United's new boy, Jadon Sancho. He was a star and had a stellar season with in the Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund, and he is a creator essentially, so he is going to create. I think that the literally what the name means. So, well, this should be an easy one. The Hurricane, top pick, start padder, golden boot, and don't know what they call the award for the guy the most assists, playmaker award they say. He's a top pick, one of the first names on the team sheet on any team. Edinson Cavani, one of Manchester United's top scorers, despite the fact that he's injury prone, so that's something you're going to have to contend with if you put him in your team. Patrick Bamford, he's for the ones who want patience, same to Kelechi Iheanacho. They score a lot of goals, but they pick up slowly. I don't know how they're going to progress this season, and it's a risk placing them both, because Leeds could suffer from second season syndrome, or they could pick up from where they left off. So that's a risk. If you're willing to take that, then it's okay. Kelechi Iheanacho was a firecracker towards the end of the season, so he's a good shout. The new signing, Patson Daka, was coming from RB Salzburg. He followed in Haaland's footsteps after filling in the gap that Haaland left. He filled it quite well, and he scored, I think, 47 goals, in one season. He scored a hat-trick in 10 minutes. That league is purely a farmers' league at this point. But he's a good shout. If he is built for the Premier League because he's, well, African, he's hardcore, he isn't injury prone, so he could be a good shout. I think they're looking for a long-term Jamie Vardy replacement, so he could do that job. So he's in. He got, I think, 7.5 million, which is a lot for a striker who's just come into the Premier League, but he's worth a shout. Then there's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He started the league very, very well last season and picked up. He veered off, but he was a goal machine at the start, so you can second time's a charm, maybe that could work out. Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa, with the creativity of Jack Grealish if he stays, but I think he's going to go, and the creativity of Emiliano Buendia, and if they get another attacking midfielder on loan, and like I said, they've just signed Leon Bailey, with that supply and creativity, and then there's Traore as well. He is going to be a firecracker in front of goal, so he's another shout. He's worth a shout. And then there's the new boy, a wild card. This is another wild card if you're willing to take the risk. The Brentford striker, Toney. He was one of the I think he was the Championship's top scorer last season. If not, he was top 3. He was among the top 3. So he's a top player. I think I don't think he will stay in Brentford for long. If he performs well this season, some club is most likely going to take him up. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. But yeah, he's worth the risk. He's worth the risk if you sign him. So he's another good shout. Well, this is going to be controversial. Paul Pogba, for one. I think that's just basing on his attitude and his level of inconsistency in the Premier League. So I wouldn't take a risk with him at the start of the season. I think when he picks up his form, he becomes quite consistent for a couple of games, so he can be brought in later during the season. Harry Maguire, the Manchester United captain. He also has purple patches, but he isn't that. Most of his points he gets are from stuff like clean sheets and that. Like with Manchester United, I can't be sure, but with Varane, I think maybe that could change. But if you had to pick between any of the two, I'd rather you go with Varane rather than Maguire. Then there's the likes of Joao Cancelo, the Manchester City fullback. He's a creator. I'd half the time I don't even believe the guy's a fullback. He goes and plays in the number 9 position so often that you can't even believe he's a fullback. He plays deeper within the attack. I wouldn't recommend going for him because the problem is he lost his place to Walker last season. I think there was a time where he was starting games week in, week out, but then he lost his position to Walker. I think it's because he was suspect defensively and Pep didn't want to risk that, so he switched back. So I wouldn't recommend going with him because he won't get regular minutes. Then I've mentioned him before as a big hitter if you'd like to go for him. I mean, it's Ederson. Ederson, the problem I have with him is the fact that he costs, 6 million? And there's other goalkeepers like Robert Sanchez costing 1.5 million less, or Emi Martinez. Of course, with Ederson, you will get clean sheets. You will most definitely get points. But the problem is it worth that much money and you having to sacrifice like a position up front and placing someone like Obafemi in your team because you don't have enough funds to set up a proper striker there who will actually give you points? I don't think it's worth the risk. So I wouldn't recommend going for him because it'll save you money which you can use in the midfield or in the attack or even in the defense, somewhere that will most likely get you more points. The next one is N'Golo Kante. No offense to any Chelsea player, N'Golo Kante is amazing. He's one of the most likable people in football. I like the guy. He plays his heart out. He gives his all for the team, whichever team he plays for, whether club or country. He gets man of the match performances. The problem with him is, like I said at the start, you are not a real manager. I wouldn't recommend you just placing him because he's a big name on the field, so you believe he'll give you points off the field. Because players like center defensive midfielders, Rodrigo, Kante, Fabinho, they hardly get goals. Of course, when they do, you'll get points, but they hardly do that. They're hardly noticed in the FPL because the algorithm doesn't base their performances on how many ball recoveries someone got or whatever, how many tackles he made. It's all for nothing if your team still loses because he won't give you any points. Even if you win, he won't be the person who's focused on. So don't go with Kante. That's basically what I'm saying. The next up, and this is going to be controversial, is Phil Foden. No, okay, relax. Come on, chill, please. I'm begging you. Phil Foden is a baller. He's a baller. He's one for the future. He's one who is going to tear up the Premier League in years to come. The only problem I have with Phil Foden is the fact that Pep Guardiola, he plays this Pep roulette or however they call it, where he switches up the play, he switches up lineups, he changes the formations and players so much. I remember last season people would be complaining that they placed KDB in the lineup only for Pep to drop him and start someone like Gundogan there. So when Foden plays, he will give you goals, he will give you assists, but it will be hard for him to play, especially with the incomings of people like Grealish if they get him, or Ken. That attack will be stacked, so Pep will have to drop some of them, and since Foden is regarded as one for the future, with air quotes there, I don't think Pep will play him that much because he will be looking for more experience to win him games. Foden will be like a bench player who comes off the bench in the 65th minute or the 70th minute to try to get a winner if they're losing and he wants to try something new, or he just wants to get some game time. Plus, he costs 8 million. 8 million is a lot to spend on a player of Foden's age and quality who might not even give you so many minutes. You can get literally players like Jack Harrison for 2 million less, players like Rafinha for 1.5 million less in the same position where he plays, and they might give you more because they will play games week in and week out. Next up is Ben Chilwell and Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta costs a lot of money. That's why I wouldn't pick him, and Reece James is competing for that position. For Chilwell, it's straightforward. Thomas Tuchel, or is it Tuchel, I'm not sure, he prefers to play Marcos Alonso in that left wing back position, so Chilwell doesn't play there as often as he does. So if you place him there are chances where he may give you points if he starts, but the chances of him starting are minimal. Last up, another controversial pick, Sadio Mane and Marcus Rashford. Sadio Mane didn't have the best of seasons last season, and he looked shaky. He's even looked shaky in the preseason games, the ones that they've played. And plus, there's the AFCON coming up next season, so there are times where he will be off duty because he's playing for his country, or his form will drop down because of that. So he isn't a good shout, and at the fees he's coming for, it wouldn't be a good idea to pick him. Marcus Rashford, well, he has an injury and he's going for surgery, so he won't be back until almost towards the end of the year. So just place Sancho there and recover that base. This took longer than I thought. The bench is pretty straightforward, basing on the players you will have selected. If you're taking this as an option to review, you have a lot of options. Given the players that have been mentioned at the start of the video, throughout this entire video, you have enough bench players and enough starting players. The chips, the wild card will only happen If you've taken advice for this video and it backfires, yeah, play the wild card. I'm not going to lie to you, you're going to need it. But I doubt you're going to need that so soon. I wouldn't recommend anyone using the triple captain at the start of the season. Wait till everyone's on form and then use it. And maybe bench boost. That also depends on the form of the player. You can play it in the first season. So anyway, I believe that is where we're going to wrap up this video. I really enjoyed it, and if you did, please smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. It is the big red button on the bottom right, and it massively helps us out. You can follow me on the social platforms at Larry Wasena, or you can follow the channel at the Post Match Presser in all of our socials. The link will also be down in the description below. Our podcast will be going live, I believe, on Friday. And we're going to be talking about everything Premier League, the tournament itself, the prediction, everyone's predictions. I have an entire team, a massive team representing as many clubs as we could find. It will be a really nice listen if you head over there and check it. I believe the link will be down in the description below. I believe at the time this video is coming out, it will have already gone up. So give it a listen and let us know what you think. Otherwise, subscribe if you're new, smash that like button. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and peace out.